Hello and welcome to the Wellness Lead podcast. My name's Jenna and I'm one of your hosts.
My name is Ella. I'm also one of your co-hosts.
Welcome back to another episode.
Yeah, how was your week, girl?
My week has been, I've been a bit sick with migraines and things. I've always got something at the moment.
Are we off the roller coaster?
We're off the roller coaster.
Yay!
Yeah, so it's just managing that, but it's all right week. I've done a couple of sessions at the gym, so I've done some running and some Pilates, but all in all, pretty good besides the migraine. How was your week?
Good. Thank God it's Friday.
Yay!
I know people are going to be listening to this at 6 a.m. on
a
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
But
Yeah.
we're recording on a Friday this week because we have a special guest.
We do have a special guest. I'm very excited for this guest.
Jenna actually brought a guest in this week.
So we're going to be chatting to Astrid. So you'll hear all about her journey as an athlete. So she's an SANFLW player. She's also an online coach. So she coaches athletes in wellbeing and a teacher. Welcome, Astrid. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Great. So let's start off.
Jumps right in with our first question.
What's your earliest memory of being fit?
I was thinking about this earlier today, to be honest.
It's such a funny question. We've been asking all of our guests this so far, and I love their answers.
I have weirdly, and my family say this too, that I have such a good memory. I have very, very vivid memories of a lot of things.
Yeah, so do I.
From childhood? How far back?
Oh, I reckon since I would have been maybe 1 or 2.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
That far.
I have memories of dreams I had when I was 18 months old.
Alright.
Yeah.
And I'm a big dreamer too, so I've
So
got
am I, yeah.
I remember all
Do you
my
have a
dreams
major
every night.
nightmare kind of person?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
same here. Yeah. I feel you go. I feel
Probably
you.
a bit of background with all those. Yeah, I think my earliest memory was, and it kind of sparked from Nathan's, was being at Next Gen with mum and dad and my sisters and having, I guess, my first swimming lessons.
Yeah.
The biggest one was me remembering my mum blowing in my face and chucking me in the water basically. And then from there, we are all water babies.
Yeah.
We were big swimmers through school. Yeah, I think swimming was huge. Tennis was massive as well. Mum and dad both loved.
So they sporty.
Yeah,
your
very
parents.
sporty. Yep. They both loved being at Next Gen, and dad.
Who doesn't love being a next gen? Let's be honest.
I know. It's a great place. I think my middle sisters, there's the first 3 of us with mum and dad was Charlotte's the oldest, Chrissy's the middle, and then me. And then I reckon I was about 7, 8 when my parents divorced.
Yep.
There's another 2, but that's on mum's side. Christabel, middle sister, had leukemia when she was, I want to say 1 or 2, so before I was born.
Yeah.
And then relapsed again when she was 8. And dad was raising money, obviously, to help support all the medical costs and whatnot. And he did the big Paris. So it's 1,200 plus kilometres. He did that solo, did he?
Yeah, so it's actually a race that you do solo. You can't have any aid cars and you have to just keep going.
Yes.
You literally can't stop in a hotel or anything overnight. You've just got to keep pushing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I remember that being...
Apparently, according to Nathan, he did it in 68 hours.
Oh, there you
It's
go.
3.5 days.
Yeah, my dad's... once he puts his mind to it, dad's
Determined.
gun-ho all in.
I love that.
Yeah. I just remember that being a huge...
Did you go for that?
No. I would have been... I want to say I would have been maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But I can just vividly remember all of it and just the amount that he would train for it and ride and just watching dad in particular do all of his exercise. He also did an Ironman. So just training for all of that really got all of us girls into it. And being around Next Gen, just, you see all those fit people and everyone that's just doing exercise and improving themselves in their body. So we all really got into that. And then I think having my sisters, that competition.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was the youngest, but I was always wanting to be better
all
than
girls?
them. Yeah, so we've got Lily, Charlotte, Christelle, me, and then William. So Lily and William are from mum and her partner from a while ago. And Lily is about 8 years younger than me and Will's 10.
Yep.
Yep.
So, yeah. And we're all, the whole family is very active.
Yeah, nice.
active family.
How do you find having the younger sibling too? Because my younger brother is also 10 years younger than me. So we have a brother in between, like 5 years. But I think him being so much younger, I feel like he's second mum.
Yeah, we have a really good relationship.
Yeah.
I think he is probably closest to me out of, I don't want to like say that really, but he's probably closest to me out of all of the siblings. We've had a really good relationship too, and he's always been strong into his footy, and I think that's maybe like a connection point that we've had.
Oh, how good. Do you kick the footy together?
Yeah, we do. And he comes out when I've got like full into pre-season, he comes out and helps me with my running and all my skills and stuff like that too.
Love it when it's like a whole family affair.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. It's motivating when he's there and it's like, okay, someone's watching, you can't stop.
Yeah. So how did you get into the football? Like, when did you start playing? Was it when you were at school? Was there female footy around then? Yeah.
There wasn't, to my knowledge, there wasn't really any like club footy.
I think if you were young enough, you were still playing with the boys.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Because I was in there around, I reckon we must be around the same age. And then we were like, I'm 25. But
okay, it's like Oz kick and then it goes to juniors. But I think once it hits like under 14s or under 13s.
Yeah, you literally got kicked out. Like you got told there was no opportunity.
Yeah.
And then either then you go to under 18 girls and that was it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was
So
it.
Yeah. So I never did Oz kick or like anything like that. But I was always
you missed out. It was bloody fun.
I know. And you know what? I've coached Oz kick and I was like, damn. Like,
I
this
remember
is
doing it with
cool.
like, we had like a play group of friends and like the boys in the play group did. I was like, I'm going to do that. And I would literally clean them up and kick the ball better.
It's so much fun. I love watching, and I love watching all the younger girls doing it now too. It's great. But I never did Oz kick or anything like that. But Dad and his dad used to play for Port Magpies. So before it was obviously came into the AFL.
Yep.
And I think just hearing all of his stories and watching like videos and seeing photos and that, I always wanted to.
Yeah.
And we'd go to Port games and, you know, every single Port game Dad would take me to and throwing me up in the air and all that sort of stuff. Like, I just love footy from a very young age.
So Port fans, family.
Port fans.
Oh, I don't know if we can talk anymore.
Sorry, everyone. But
and we finish it there. No, me being a Crow supporter on the on the buttons here.
around like year 9 and 10, we got to play knockout footy.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, you trial for the team. A lot of the time it was year 11s and 12s and stuff like that, getting into it. But once I got to year 10, I pretty much played from there. And the next 3 years in the knockout teams, we weren't that great, but that's okay. Because we were an all-girls school. I think it wasn't like, you know, we didn't really practice it. We didn't have boys kicking the footy with us at lunch or anything like that.
Yeah.
But just loved it. After then, there still wasn't really any pathway for it. So I just went back to playing netball through uni. 2018 was my first year at Broadview. And that was just my partner, his brother's girlfriend, just said, come out, have a kick. And I was like, oh, no, don't know. Dad played for Broadview. And he was kind of like, just go.
Do
you'll
it.
have fun.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
okay, done.
Yeah.
And like literally first training sold.
They have a pretty strong female team out there, right?
Very strong, very strong. We had 2 undefeated premierships.
Wow.
So Div 4 was the first year, Div 3, and then moved up to Div 2, played another grand final in Div 2 and lost by 3 points, and then moved up to Div 1. So we've had 2 full seasons in Div 1 now.
Yep.
Or 3 even, oh my God, I can't remember. But we've played finals in both Div 1 seasons.
Yep.
This year ended up minor premiers and then unfortunately went out in straight sets during finals.
No.
But that's just footy. Sometimes it's a little bit unforgiving. Yeah, so after 2018, I went and trialled for North Adelaide because there were a few girls a little bit younger than me who'd been in their juniors sides.
Yep.
Got selected for that and then actually took a job in the Riverland. So ended up not playing for them, but I did do their full pre-season and then just trained when I could when I was coming back. Which is a bit of a bummer because I think, like I love where I am now, but I would have, I think if I'd stuck there and was in Adelaide, would have done pretty well there, just given the timing and the age that I was. But, you know, things happen for a reason. And then it's 2 years off actually. And once I came back to Adelaide 2 years ago, had the coach from West Adelaide at the time come out and watch one of our final minor games at home. And he selected or picked up myself and 3 other girls to come out and play for the following season, which was the 2022 season.
That's when it started ramping up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's I think when it comes to like the AFL and that, they really started heavily drafting through particularly the SANFL. I think that year and the previous year, a lot of the draft picks were coming from SA, which is awesome. It obviously means we've got quite a bit of talent, and also our like under 18s and under 16 girls have always been really strong. So all those younger girls coming through, playing for the state and going and playing Vic Country and all that have pretty much come out top every year.
Do you think they are strong because they obviously played in the boys leading
probably.
up?
Yeah, probably. And I think
that age group as well, when they started bringing in like the under 16 and the 18s teams to the local clubs, which is like a perfect sweet spot where you have the kids coming through now. Yeah. Whereas like we're at that point where I was 14 and a half trialing for an 18s team, and mum's like, you're not doing it because you're like too small compared to everybody else. But it's fine. I like ended up in a gym and became a trainer, but I wish I kept the footy going.
Yeah, it is good. I believe as well, like the SANFL, so our amateur league or local league is also currently ranked as the strongest local league across Australia.
Wow.
Which is pretty impressive.
That's awesome.
So, you know, SANFL and VFL and all of that, VFLW and all of that, it's, you know, it's only the step below AFLW. So there's not too much difference between the training level and the playing level. Now it's probably even more increased in AFLW, which is great and makes selections for that level a lot harder. But so played the first season for Westies and had my debut game midway through that season, which was awesome. Down south, South Adelaide. The game itself was not great, but it was just,
it doesn't matter,
like on top of the world, awesome. All that hard work paying off. That was the only league game I played that year. The rest I played in the reserve side. And then this season played 2 league games, which I was pretty stoked with.
Nice.
Just finding that a lot of those younger players are starting to overrun. You know, some of the girls around my age, and it's not that we're unfit or not skilled; they're just very quick and you know, a lot more agile than what we are.
So you're talking about like your pre-season, what that kind of entail then your training compared into the season.
So believe it or not, we actually start pre-season next week. So
it's good timing. When this comes out, you'll be out in the field.
Literally out in the field. So the start of pre-season between October to, I guess, mid-Jan is pretty full on. So 3 times a week. We generally train for around 2.5 hours.
Is this a lot of on the field or in the gym?
Yeah, a lot of on the field. So we do usually, like obviously our warm-up, we'll have a conditioning component either at the start or at the end. It depends what they want to do in terms of working out if we can sustain a full training and then also get through our conditioning. And conditioning blocks, like they don't really go for much longer than maybe 10, 15 minutes anyway, but they're pretty high intensity. And then just rotations with skills or game plays, whatever. And that would go for maybe 45 minutes to an hour. And then gym sometimes is embedded within the training, but not always. So on our off days, we have a gym program anyway that we're meant to follow. So pretty much the extra 3 days a week is gym.
So 6 days.
6 days. And then Sundays, rest and recovery day. I mean, every day you got to recover, but that's our off day.
And you have proper like strength and conditioning coaches as well?
Yeah, we do. So we get a lot from the unis. So they feed them in their final years or if they've just finished. But we've had our current S&C has worked with the Crows a bit and that sort of thing. So it's nice to have more experienced S&Cs working with us.
Do you struggle that these S&Cs coming through want to use you as a stepping stone to get to the AFL? How do you feel about that?
Not if they can build good relationships with us.
Okay.
I think like that's the biggest thing is just trusting them and trusting that they know what they're doing. But they also have to, you know, make that connection with us too. We have had S&Cs that in the past that come out and you know that they're just there because they have to be and getting their hours done and whatnot. And that can be a bit of a struggle, but the ones that do actually make the effort and chat to you and see how you're going on a personal level and that sort of thing as well. Or even, you know, if you've got injuries or any issues that you need to bring up with them and they're happy to tailor what we're doing, I think that's, as long as they're doing that, then it's not an issue. I think,
I just had a lot of people talking about like the workers coming through, like the SANFL and the AFLW are all saying, like I think Chloe Dalton was talking about it on the Female Athlete Project a couple of weeks ago, and saying, yeah, she's finding that's coming through a lot, which now it should actually be considered that AFLW is just as good as the AFL and they should be treated on a similar level. Like, we're not at that stage yet, but we're getting there.
Yeah,
and the quality of the trainers and the gym facilities should be the same.
Yeah, correct. No,
I love it. Chat about this.
I couldn't agree more. And, like, it's hard because a lot of the SANFL clubs are, you know, the money that comes in for them is based off of sponsorship. It's not... Like, a lot of them struggle in terms of being able to actually hire staff and that sort of thing because they just don't have the money to.
So do you find like the SANFL clubs, so like the Crows team and stuff of the SANFL get a bit more help because they're attached to the AFLW
I think
team?
So, yeah. I mean, the women don't have a Crows or Port SANFLW.
Do they use North Adelaide as their feeder team?
For...
You know, when they drop a player from the AFLW, where do they go back to?
So all the AFLW girls usually go back to the SANFL club that they
they originally were
with.
Okay, yeah. So they're not like the AFL, like the Crows team would feed back. Okay,
So, I mean, I reckon we've got maybe 6 or 7 AFL girls at Westies. So some of them come back, but if I think they've played a certain amount, they tend to not come back.
Yeah,
or if
fair enough.
they've had a very strong season and then maybe, you know... Yeah, you're definitely here for the next year. They won't come back because they want to obviously look after them and make sure that they're not.
And in terms of like SANFL, are you getting paid anything? Like, you don't have to answer it or no.
I'm
How
not,
do you find that, like, pulling a full training load and working?
Yeah, it's been huge over the last year, I think, particularly because our training load's been increased and we are essentially doing the same amount of work as the men.
Yeah. And they get paid for SANFL level,
yeah,
right?
They do. Yeah. It's actually not a lot. Which a lot of people probably think that they get paid pretty decently, but they don't. I think a lot of money's in country footy.
Yeah. That's where they all go once they retire, right?
Most of them will, I think a lot of the girls have questioned it and a lot of the leaders, so like the captains of the women's teams, tend to take it back to the SANFL and question it almost every year. But again, it's just the money that's coming in.
What do you think, even like a small fee every game, so like a $50 playing fee, would you be happy with that?
I think
just something.
Everyone would be happy. I honestly think everyone would be like, amazing, cool. Like $50, great.
Yeah.
And there has been talk coming into this season that potentially they will be paying the league girls. So if you do play a league game, there will be, you know, $50. It hasn't been confirmed, so whether it happens or not is another thing.
Yeah.
Anything like it's hard because it's that fine line, and I guess the role I'm in now is also.
It's just annoying. This is like you're playing the exact same game as the men, but we're like 50 years behind where they were. Yeah. Like we're so far behind. Yeah. Yet people in the media are being like, well, why are the women, they don't play to the same level? Well, it's a different game. It's like, game. As we just saw in the, I totally understand. But like, as you saw in the World Cup, right? Yeah. It's a different game, but it's still a brilliant game. Correct. It's just, I feel like women play so much better strategically rather than just the men running around like lost children.
It's such a hard argument, and I get so like fired
up. Come on.
Because I'm also like, well, we shouldn't even be comparing it. Yeah. Because physiologically we're different.
Completely
so
different.
why do we, like, yes, AFLW, it's like tactically and the way it's rolled out, the same game. Yeah. But we're physiologically different in the way that we're playing it. You can't compare it.
Is it true the ball was one size smaller than the men's as well?
It is. Yeah, it is.
Is it? I didn't know that.
So we use a size 4. We use a size 4. They use a size 5, and I'm so happy about that because size 5 is huge.
What's the reason?
Is it because
our hands
smaller?
Just cannot get around it.
Right. Okay.
And I think like ball drop wise, if we were using the size 5, it would just.
I've tried kicking a 5 before. It's honestly so hard.
Yeah. I mean, every now and then we're kicking them, and you can tell the difference, and it's fine once you
get used to it.
You've done it enough times, and you're like, whatever. But there are some, like, my hands are not big, so
I feel little hands.
It's an awkward thing, but the whole thing with just the progression of women's, like, we progress so quickly, and it is moving so quickly, and I think the change in pay for the AFLW girls recently is
what was
really
that, by the way?
So a lot of them are, like, from my understanding, a lot were on maybe like 25,000, 30,000 a year.
So they have to work.
Yep. And I can't remember where I heard it, but Erin Phillips in her first year went from, 100,000 plus playing
basketball
and then came and played AFLW in her first year, only made $8,000.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
And that's a career for them. Like,
yeah.
You know,
no wonder she was doing all like the advertisements and stuff on the side.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of the money, I think, extra on top of that was from sponsorship for them. So if they were getting paid promotions and whatnot. But now I think the starting salary is about 75,000.
Yeah.
So it's like a grad job.
Yeah.
It's not that bad,
grad job.
Yeah.
So you could actually do it without having to work.
Yeah, correct. Which is great.
Perfect.
Because
that's what it should be like.
You know,
You can dedicate.
again, 6 days a week, 6 nights a week.
Yeah.
Training and playing and
And then
like,
you have to do a job on top of that. You're going to be
correct. And
taxing.
obviously their season is shorter because you know there's not actually there might be every single.
So
team.
I heard
can't
the other
remember.
day, right, that they were talking about the next 2 seasons going to be bigger based on how many people they can get to all the games. Actually, I reckon it was AFLW. They were talking about if they can get so many thousands of people to every game, then they'll increase the season by 1 game, and then the next season they'll increase it by 2. So then every year, the more people they can get out there, the bigger the season's going to get, and then you will actually play everyone.
Yeah.
I can't get my head around that, right?
No,
That
it confuses the hell out of me. I got no clue.
you have like how many teams in the AFLW now?
Well, I thought that we were close to having every single team. So
I think maybe we're short, maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Anyway, but you still don't play every team.
Yeah.
So I just can't get my head
How
around
does that even work?
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It
confusing.
literally doesn't work. Unless you get to finals and you might play somebody you haven't played. But still.
Yeah.
How do you compare every team if they haven't played each other?
I don't get it. I haven't
So
understood
just
it.
hurry up and pull a full season.
I have not understood it.
So talking about your training, so we talked about a pre-season and what happens on season.
So we go, well, usually, I think we're actually scheduled to still have 3 trainings, but usually if that 3rd training is happening, it might just be a captain's run.
Okay.
So we usually go down to 2 trainings a week. So just
and you're
based
still
on the
required to do the rest as well?
Yep, so all the
sessions?
gym, we're still required to do that. It's not as much as what it was during pre-season, but we would do Monday is generally quite light because it's a quick turnaround from a Saturday game. So it's more of like a flush run, recovery, a bit of skills, and that's it.
Is it always a Saturday game?
Yeah. So there was a few seasons where, actually, no, I lie. There have been occasional Friday night games.
Okay.
So sometimes we've had Friday night games at Norwood.
Yep. Under the lights.
Yeah, under lights.
Yeah.
I reckon that's probably been the only club that we've played at night.
Yep.
And that always tends to be
Does
a
that
Friday
change it
night game.
for you, like the feeling like training at night versus in the
Yeah.
day? Yeah.
How do you go playing at day versus playing at night? Because you train at night.
Yeah, train at night. I honestly, because I'm so blind, I find playing at night really hard.
Yeah.
I actually really struggle with it.
Yeah.
I love a day game, like, 12 noon.
Yep.
Perfect. Like, just
Don't
it's
have
a
to get
good
up too
time.
early.
Yeah, don't have to get up
Yep.
too early. You can just kind of relax into, the prep for the game and then going in.
Yep.
How many hours before do you get to a game?
We generally get there like an hour 45.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Strapping and like our own individual prep. And then
Yep.
we have
Do you have
team-
any rituals that you do before every game, like your own self?
I don't really.
You're not a Sam Kerr with all your
No.
must eat
Superstitions.
No,
Yeah.
during the SANFLW season, I love going to the beach in the morning with my dog.
Yep.
Having my brekkie and a coffee and then just strolling home and
Yep.
hanging out basically until
Yep.
I actually have to go and play. Particularly because it's during the summer, so it's actually nice to go
Yeah.
to the beach in the morning. But that's it really. I just like doing my own thing, chilling and rolling in when it's time.
Yeah.
I don't like overthinking it.
Yeah.
I do have a bit of a superstition, so I always wear a white ribbon in my hair.
Oh, you're a Hayley Rasso.
Yeah, I always wear a white ribbon in my hair. Broadview, it goes between my, I've got like a little embroidered Broadview ribbon or my white ribbon.
Oh my God, I love that.
But nah, just roll in.
Have you
get myself
ever
ready.
forgotten the ribbon?
I have, and it has been like
Oh my God.
Stations.
Yeah.
Was not a good game at all. I think I ended up finding some like little cruddy yellow ribbon in my bag, and I was like, oh, that's gonna have to do. I only started wearing it though because Dad found it really hard to see where I was on the field.
You know that's Hayley's reason as well,
Yeah.
because of her grandmother.
Yeah, my dad would really struggle, and he's like, you just all
Right.
look the same. And I was like, I'm a
kind of
redhead. I'm
similar-
like the only redhead. What
Similar
do
to
you
like a
mean?
baggage tag kind of thing.
Literally,
That one.
literally. And so I was like, fine. And started wearing a white ribbon. I'm like, I'm the one with the ribbon. No,
Can't
you're
miss
not
me
gonna,
now.
yeah.
Yeah.
But everyone's wearing ribbons now. So I'm going to have to find something else. But no, I prep-wise, I'm not someone that has to have like everything
sorted.
I do like to get my bag packed the night before, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And then after a game, what happens? Win or
Refuel.
lose?
Yeah, win or lose, refuel. Straight on the chocky milks. Or
Nice. Yeah.
the subways and things like that.
Yep.
Just literally we like playing reserves, we're encouraged to obviously stay behind and watch the league. So the league play after us. So it's a pretty big day.
Yeah.
Like if you play reserves, right, you're at a 10:30 game, we're there 8:30ish.
Yep.
And then we won't leave until maybe like 4 o'clock.
Yeah, it's full day.
Yeah, full day. But it's good fun. It's good fun. So and then same with Broadview, playing in the A grade, the B grade girls play before us, so we rock up, start of their game and watch up until their half, and then start getting ourselves ready.
Yep.
And then that carries on, and it ends up being beers at the club or something like that. So a bit more chilled, but
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
So AFLW, want to go
No,
or not?
no. I think if I was, never say never, but I think if I was a bit younger, like thinking back to that pre-season at North, at that point, it probably would have been I need to make a decision whether I try for that or not.
Okay.
No.
No? Happy where you are?
No, and I love footy so much, but I don't think, it's never really been.
Yeah.
It might be a bit of my age as well, but I'd never really considered even it being a possibility.
Yeah.
So,
well, watch out, you might get the call next week.
Absolutely not. No. Nah. Look, I'm lucky.
What if
Not
pros
lucky,
called
but-
you up and say, will you come and
Oh
play?
God, I think I'd
Decision
actually
time.
I'd pass out. No way. No, I think not luck, but because obviously there's a lot of hard work that goes into it. But I was pretty stoked to at least play my 3 league games, and I know now being in the player welfare role at Westies and helping with the wellbeing side of things, I have committed to only playing a handful of games within the reserves anyway. So I know that that's pretty much it.
Yep.
In terms of the league level of football.
Yeah, so do you reckon you're going to pull a couple more league games though?
No, I don't think so. Nah, like all my testing and everything was like in comparison to the rest of the SANFL. So we do a big SANFL testing day was in like the elite level, which is awesome. And I was really stoked with that. And the feedback from the coaches was great. But
what sort of testing? Like what's involved?
so
let's go into that.
We do a yo-yo test, which is I don't know how to explain it. It's not really a beat test, but you've got like a 5-meter barrier, and then it goes 20 meters, and you have to, on the beep, you have to run up and then get 1 foot behind that next line and push off and come back and make it by the second beep past that line.
Okay.
Then you've got like a 5-meter walk around a cone. You have to get back and by that beep go again. And it just goes up in levels.
Okay.
So if you have one fault, like with a foot, or you leave too early or whatever, you only get 1 more chance, and then they pull you out. So it's pretty full on because it jumps up pretty quick. So it starts at like, I can't even remember, we start at like level 7 or something, and then it gets to like level 15. Well, I don't know, like it just skips.
Yeah.
And it's pretty quick. So you end up pretty much sprinting from line to line in the end, and not in a lot of time. That's really like that endurance kind of thing. So yo-yo, you do an agility test. That's the one, if you've seen like the draft combine, they put the poles up and you're not allowed to touch the poles, and it's like a weird shape you have to follow.
Sounds like a dog test.
Well, to be honest, it's more like I get like, oh my God, my mind.
Confused,
what if I
overthink.
go the wrong way? Or what
Yeah.
if I miss a pole? Like it's the
More
whole
of a
time
mind
you're
game.
watching, you're like, oh God. That's fun though. I love that sort of stuff. The vertical jump.
Oh, yeah.
And then like the run and jump as well.
Yep.
And 20-meter sprint. I reckon that's it.
Yep.
Yeah, I reckon
Sounds like a
that's
lot.
it. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a big day, like,
Yeah.
because they have every single team go to NAS College, and you're all there at different time slots. It's actually really sad because the team that's on the bottom of the ladder is the last team to go through.
Oh, so they watch everyone.
So no, well, not necessarily, but you're there at like 6 p.m. at night.
Oh.
And you've gotten there at like, 2 in the afternoon, had to sit through the induction, and then it's
Tired by that point.
you're
Yeah.
like, I did not want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
And so on the field, what position do you play?
God, everywhere. For Broadview, I've gone through my first probably 5 seasons was mainly midfield.
Yep.
A little bit through like the half forward line. Had a complete change, and I'm now half back.
Yep.
Like a high half back,
Yep.
so kind of like an outside mid and back liner.
Yep.
And also the wing.
Nice.
Which do you prefer?
I love the
wing.
Yeah. I just love having that space to run and be able to read the play and get involved when you need to.
Is there one position that requires, like, is it more taxing on you? Like, do you find one harder?
I actually find the wing is a fair bit of running.
Yep.
And when I've had a GPS on and then middies have had a GPS on, I tend to do maybe 1 or 2 Ks extra, which is pretty interesting. But a lot of their work is like ball ups and ruck taking. Just constantly following the pack and quickly getting it out, whereas we're like that run and carry kind of role.
Push it down the field,
I think technically the wing is pretty hard.
Yep.
Like a lot of players, if they get put on the wing and haven't been there before, like just position-wise, oh shit, like what do I do? Because you are outside of it.
Okay.
And you don't necessarily have a person on you all the time. So a lot of the time wings will set up defensively, but they're not actually on each other.
Yeah.
So they've got a fair amount of space and you just have to read what your opponent's actually doing and if they're impacting on the contest or not and when you actually need to go and man up on them. So
oh, good.
I think, and the running pattern of it is just quite interesting, but
Yeah, nice. Cool. So you were talking about your position at the club. Tell us a bit more about that and helping the younger ones coming through.
So I reckon maybe 3 years ago at Broadview, I just started to notice like a lot of the girls in terms of mindset and in general, like just as they're getting older, finding their body's not recovering as quick and, you know, just the pressure that they're putting on themselves to continue to perform. And, you know, if they were in the top 3 most games in the previous year and they're no longer in the top 3, then they're failing and they're not good enough to play and that sort of thing. And then in that first year at Westies, just probably wasn't the most positive year. We had, I wasn't in the team previously, but they'd just come off of losing a grand final. It was pretty close.
Yep.
And then ended up bottom of the ladder in that first year that I was there. I think we won the first round and then after that it was just loss. Yeah. And obviously that
impacts everyone.
Impacts everyone and it's pretty hard for people to feel positive when you're playing in a losing team. But there were a lot of injuries and a lot of girls just feeling quite down on themselves performance-wise and feeling like they weren't living up to what the coach was expecting.
Yep.
And I think that's huge. Like a lot of girls overthink a lot of things within sport.
Yeah, I think in general.
In general, that's true. But I think that's just nature of us.
Yeah.
But it's like on the field, you make one mistake and then you like everyone festers on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll think of that when you lay in bed that night.
Yeah, and then your head's out of the game and you can't get yourself back into it. And I just kept seeing it happening over and over again. And I've always been quite a positive person in footy and I love leadership and I'd always be that person that's like, it's fine. You
pumped up, let's go.
Yeah, you fucked up. It's fine. Everyone fucks up. AFL players fuck up.
Yeah.
Let it go. Move on.
Yeah.
Focus on what's happening next.
Yeah.
I don't know. And just connecting with a lot of girls and having them come to me and chat and be open and happy to chat to me.
Yeah.
And about stuff that's happened in their day that they probably wouldn't go and talk to anyone else about.
Yeah.
And I don't mind because that's just how I was. I was like, yeah, cool. Come and chat. And it just inspired me to actually look into what more could I do.
On
a level that's
health.
and on a level that's actually professional.
Yeah.
And one of the personal trainers I used to do a bit of training with, he worked out of Broadview. He went through the wellbeing course that I did, which is with the Wellbeing Science Institute, and it's specific for elite athletes.
Yeah, interesting.
And he was just talking to me about it, and I thought, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And I reckon 5 months after he'd mentioned it, I just said, I'm just going to do it.
Do
I'm
it.
just going to have a go.
Yeah.
And that took a year. I've actually finished it at the end of last school term. So
well
about
done.
4 weeks ago.
Nice.
Yeah, I got my certificate 2 weeks ago. So that was really exciting.
Was it an online
study?
study?
It was purely online. So the round that I did was the first online version. Previous to that, people actually had to travel to Sydney to do an intensive 4-day sort of thing and then go off and do all of their assessments and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's a slog. It's honestly a slog. It was so interesting, but there was 23 total assessments and they're quite big and you have to work with stakeholders and athletes and all that sort of thing to get them done. But everything's due in one block at the end.
Oh, God.
So there's not little bits throughout. It's just all one document handed up at the end. And I reckon I had over 300 pages in my document. It was over 30,000. It was just ridiculous.
Oh, my God, yeah.
But well worth it.
But so worth it.
What's something that you learn out of that you'll take on?
Honestly, and I rave about it a lot on my coaching page, but the sleep component of
Yeah.
it.
Oh my God, I read
Yeah.
this today on your thing. Can we go on about this? Because I'm like struggling with that at the moment.
Yeah, the sleep component has been like hands down the best thing because I have never been a good sleeper. And just making some little tweaks here and there has been like complete game changer.
What are those tweaks we're making?
So, firstly, they make you kind of go through like a sleep score just to see what, it's hard to explain without actually having it in front of me, what level you're at. But some of the main things are obviously, which most people know, but having a like complete blackout room.
Yeah.
If you can, having it at 18 degrees, which is obviously hard because you don't want to have the aircon and fans on all night, but it is what it is. Obviously, phones off at least like an hour before bed.
Yep.
And having them out of your room, so they're not even in your room at all.
Mate, I need my 10 alarms with my phone next to my bed.
Yeah, and this is the thing, and I'm trying to get my partner to do it too, because I'm like, and like I leave my phone in the lounge room off, and I use my watch. I don't actually have my watch on, but I leave it on my desk, so I have to actually get out of bed to go and turn it on. But I use my watch for my alarm. Their biggest suggestion was actually getting like one of those Bunnings plug-in alarms.
Okay.
And having that in your room. So you literally have like no, like massive electromagnetic frequency things in your room.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there goes me. I got my security cameras in my room. The boxes in my wardrobe, and I'm like, okay.
Some of the things, there was an athlete the other week, one of the girls that was talking to me about sleep, younger girls, and she's like, oh, I've got these like LED lights around my bed. Should I turn them off? And I'm like, yes. Yes, you should.
How could you sleep with those
I
on?
know. And I was like, do you always sleep with them? She's like, yeah, but I sleep so bad. I'm like, that's probably why.
I can't deal if there's any light. We've got an electric fan, and so I have to hang like a t-shirt over it for the lights, like any little bit of light. I don't know if my eyes.
I used to be like that as a
slightly
kid,
open.
but I am better with light now. Like it's pretty dark, but I leave my blind probably 30 centimeters open, so the sun comes up.
Yeah,
and
that's
I
nice.
wake up,
Yeah.
but most of the time, because of daylight savings, now I'm awake before the sun comes up. But
No, and that I think like having that sunlight coming in the morning is also nice because it kind of
wakes
occasionally
you up.
naturally wakes you up.
Yeah.
Too. Some other things were literally using your bed and your bedroom only for sleep or sex.
No
So
TV.
no TV, like not even working in your room. You know how sometimes you just go and lay in your bed and flick through your phone.
I'm an occasional podcast editor, but like I've done that since I've lived in this house now. Like I refuse to put a TV in my room.
Yeah.
Like I barely, like it's occasionally I'll be watching the soccer late at night and I want to be in bed because I'll fall asleep watching it anyway. But like, it's so much nicer not having a TV in your room and all that kind of stuff. And you like walk into your room and it would just be where you sleep.
Yeah.
Hot showers.
Right.
Yeah,
Not
that's
cold.
before bed.
Hot showers 30 minutes or so
Before bed.
before bed because you're
Makes you
wanting your core temperature to drop essentially. So socks.
Or sauna.
Yeah, or sauna.
Yeah.
I've been doing sauna recently, like at night time, and that's made a big difference.
I did it last night and I slept all right last night.
Yeah. So having your core temperature drop is really important. So recommending to wear socks, even if it's hot, like wearing socks and literally like stripping down naked.
Right.
And gloves if you're comfortable wearing gloves. But I don't do that, but that's okay. Some people do. I thought what was really interesting actually was, now Matthew Walker is a famous sleep hygienist therapist person. He's like all over YouTube. But what I found really interesting was if you're laying in bed at night and feeling like you just can't get to sleep and you keep laying there and you keep laying there and you're just like waiting, your brain like associates your bed with wakefulness.
Okay.
So if you feel like you're laying there for quite a while and
Get up
get up and do something, but do it in a different room.
Yeah.
Right.
So that you're not associating.
How long
your
have you
room
got to
and
be
your bed
laying
with
there
that.
before you do something?
I don't know if there's a set time to be completely honest, but
I feel like it resets you almost. Like you get up and then you
Yeah.
come back and then you're like, sleep time.
Sleep
It's
time,
like a
yeah.
reset button psychologically.
yeah. I guess it just, and like when you start to feel tired again, you go back in and
Yeah, right.
try and
Yeah.
get to sleep again.
Interesting. Yeah. And what about like reading books and stuff before you go to bed?
Yeah, so all those like relaxing things.
Yep.
Some people say like having teas and that, but I recommend not because then you wake up, need to go to the toilet and that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you wake up throughout the night, it actually resets your entire sleep cycle. So you're trying to get through your like 4 to 5 cycles of sleep so that you can have your REM sleep and your deep sleep.
Yep.
And that part of your sleep is like, which for athletes is really important, is like your memory consolidation section of your sleep. So like skill acquisition and that sort of thing. Something that you've learned at training the night before.
Yep.
And you have a really solid sleep and you go through your full 7.5, 8 hours.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah,
How do you do that?
I know. I was like that for a while. Have gone from, I reckon, probably like 5 hours max of solid sleep now to about 7.
I'm probably about 6 to 7.5 hours, depending on the night. I try to get into bed at 9:30.
Yeah.
Whether that means I go and read a book or do whatever.
Yeah.
And then I wake up. My first alarm goes off at like 5:10, and then I probably have like 5 alarms because then I'm like 10 more minutes. And then I normally get up at like 5:30, 5:45.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually on that, sleep times.
Yep.
Recommendation is to work, so whatever your wake time is,
Yep.
what you're wanting your wake time to be, work back 5 cycles of 90 minutes.
Okay.
And that should be your bedtime. For some people, they're like, what the fuck? That means I'm going to bed at like 12 at night. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, well, it's like the ideal amount of time for you to be in bed asleep. And with your wake times, obviously trying your hardest not to snooze.
Yep.
Because if you fall back into that sleep, that's when you wake up feeling like groggy. And,
Yeah. What's your tips? So if you'll wake up in the morning and not feeling like you've had a deep, well-rested sleep, other than pressing snooze.
Yeah. It's pretty hard, really, isn't it? But like, your daily habits, like your movement, early morning sun. Yep. Your nutrition. So having like your high good fat breakfast sort of thing to set your day up, even like a cold shower.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if that's scientifically proven, that one, but I personally love having a cold shower if I feel like a little bit groggy in the morning. It just wakes me up.
Yep.
But food, movement, getting out in the early sun's also huge. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah.
So last question about your sport. So since the World Cup just happened and that was such a big boom within Australia and the world and focus on women playing sport and now kids aspiring to get to that level, how do you think that's going to affect like all women's sport in the next couple of years?
Yeah. I think it's positive.
Of course,
it's definitely a positive. And I think also being in school, teaching PE, it's over that period of the World Cup, it was just really awesome to see a lot of girls who generally weren't that interested in sport.
Yeah.
Showing more interest. And even in PE lessons, like trying to contribute a little bit more. Or coming to school and asking, did you watch this? Did you watch that? Like, and they've never spoken to me about watching sport on TV before. Yeah, right. So
we had Meg, who is also a PE teacher, and we had her just after the World Cup happened. And she was saying a lot of the kids were saying before the World Cup, their parents were like, oh, why are you watching women's sport? Like, it was just always a thing that you would never watch it. Yeah. And as soon as the World Cup happened, everybody's like, oh my God, this is actually amazing. Yeah. And someone like me now, I've always watched women's sport, but now I'll literally sit down every weekend and watch 3 games of the English Premier League of the women's. Like, obsessed.
I think it's a little bit sad, really, isn't it?
Yeah. That it's taken a big event like that to happen for us to boom. But it's happened and I'm glad it has.
Yeah. And I think I kind of think back to the AFLW grand final that was here in Adelaide that had the largest crowd they've ever had at Adelaide Oval. Yeah. And that was another moment of stick that one up, because we actually can hold a crowd and have interest in our sport.
What's that guy who's on the project who said about how crap women's sport was and everybody...
Stephen Price?
Yeah, when that came out and he was like, oh, it's just such a waste of time, like women's sport's never going to be like men's. And then everybody went off. What do you think about that? Like people in the media saying bullshit.
You're saying the money's not in it, the sponsorship.
It's a waste of money and everything.
Oh my God, here we go.
Come on, get fired up. I love
my
this.
My biggest argument about that all the time is there's a key problem to that, and that's the fact that the media is actually not putting our sport in a time slot where people are going to watch.
Correct,
So we're at these most random times where people actually aren't sitting at their tellies. So is that like that? To me, I'm like, that's the issue. Like if you, for example, like the World Cup, start putting it live on Channel 7 at prime time.
You know what annoyed me about the World Cup and the media, that they played all the Australia games, great. But 3/4 of all the World Cup games were on a streaming service that cost you $25 a month.
And that's too
great. But no, because you want people to watch. And there's talk about women's sport now being the biggest return on investment at the moment because it is booming. Chloe Dalton, as in the Female Athlete Project talks about this all the time. If you start investing now, you'll make more money off your investment than you would if you invested in the men's game.
Yeah,
crazy. I love this shit.
Crazy. I know, and that's so interesting.
Literally so
that's
into
really
this.
interesting.
Yeah,
I like that. That's always been my biggest thing is,
and then after
and still to this day, like men in my life, the way that they talk about it, I'm like, you're just not really understanding the point.
Yeah.
The point is not, like, and they're like, yeah, but you know, if you, and I hate it, it's always a comparison. If you had to choose between French and whatever women's soccer team or the men's Australian, I'm like, well,
they can't compare.
You can't compare it. Stop comparing it. And like also find a way that you can have Channel 9 run women's and then 2 hours later Channel 7 run men's. Like why do we always have to have them clashing with the men's sport?
Well, the good thing that came out of the World Cup is now no longer a streaming service can take on these competitions anymore, which is a great thing.
That's great.
That we won't have to pay to watch this stuff. But still, same thing. I work in an office with all men, right? And as soon as the World Cup, I didn't shut up about it. I rubbed it all in their faces. And they're like, it's just a game. I said, it's not just a game anymore. The women are coming up and people are talking about it. Yeah. And they started comparing it to the men's. I said, you can't.
No.
It's like we're 40 years behind where the men are sitting at. They're sitting happy with their $1 million paychecks where we're only just getting the pay up to a standard where it should be.
Yeah. I could go on for days about it.
I've been waiting for somebody to come on who's invested into this as much as I am.
I can go on for days. That could be a whole other podcast episode.
Yeah, literally. We might have to get you on for that deep dive again. I was just sitting in a room yelling about this. So if anybody has contacts to Chloe Dalton, can you please get your number because we need a chat.
That'd be a really good listen.
Can you imagine?
That'd be good.
We could actually get more listens on our pod and a solid.
So I just wanted to ask about your online coaching program that you've recently launched. So you saw like your branding and everything come out, which looks amazing, by the way.
So good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And how you got into that and how you started as a trainer and what led you to the online stuff.
Yeah, cool. So firstly, starting out as a trainer, I just did my Cert 3 and 4 while I was at uni.
Yep.
And I really just did it as a means to have some money coming in.
Yep.
Not to say I didn't enjoy it. I loved that side of thing.
Yeah.
And my personal trainer at the time probably pushed me and like inspired me to do it. That's like Jackie.
Yep.
I trained with her. I was just saying to Ella before that I was training with her straight out of high school, which for me was like totally different because I had only ever done really basic gym, like by myself on some machines, whatever.
Yeah.
And then my sister pulled me to a PT session with her. And I just remember us walking into the Foodland in Stirling, getting food for mum to cook that night, and we literally could barely even hold the baskets.
That's no
we
way.
were like, oh my God, what has happened to our bodies?
When you've had a good session. But you've also trained that you only have to do one run to the car with your food shopping then.
Yeah, exactly. Then you have to carry it, little bits at a time.
I always say when I go through the checkout, I was like, load the bags up. Like the more you have in the bags, the less runs I have to do to the kitchen. I trained for this.
Literally. And like from that day, I was like, yep, cool, sign me up, let's go. So my sister and I did PT with Jackie for, I want to say like 2 or 3
Was that
years.
one-on-one or in a group?
That was both of us together just with Jackie.
Okay,
so,
cool.
2-1.
Yep.
And then she started going more into like the group fitness side of things, and we just attended her classes. So pretty much, I want to say that Jackie and I have been on and off, me training with her and then working with her for about 10 years.
Wow.
And then obviously she's not shut down, but sold her business and gone over to online.
Yep.
So yeah, she was probably like the reason why I actually got into it and started. And I just did my own, couple of my own clients for about a year.
And where did you do your course?
I did it through TAFE.
Yep.
Yeah, both of them through TAFE, which was good. They were a little bit longer than...
It's a bit slower pace, I think.
A little bit longer
you can
than
absorb
Fit
more
College.
probably.
Yeah. So I reckon they went for almost a year.
Yeah.
It would have been like 10 months or so each. But yeah, did that for a bit on and off. Group fitness, worked at the F45 up in Renmark when I was just part-time teaching up there.
Yep.
And that was great. So much fun. Loved it. Did a little bit at the F45 Prospect, and then obviously on and off with Jackie in her gym too where I could. I knew that was not going to be like my forever
Yeah.
job or career. it was really just because I enjoyed it. And I
yeah,
enjoyed,
similar here.
Yeah, enjoyed
It's a good side
the
hustle.
the aspect of, you know, helping people
Yep.
to get into fitness and actually enjoy it
Yep.
and find some things that they can do themselves if they weren't to stay with me forever sort of thing. And then in terms of my female athlete coaching, wellbeing coaching, that's really stemmed from what we spoke about before, just actually doing my certificate for in elite athlete wellbeing management.
Yep.
And obviously being around, I've been coaching sports for as long as I can remember. I'm pretty certain my PE teacher at school got me into coaching when I was in year 7.
Oh god, mine did too.
Yeah, and I was literally coaching like year 3s.
We were literally talking about this in my episode back, I can't remember what number it was now, but literally like year 7, the teachers were like in their mid-50s and they're like, Ella, we don't know how to play. Can you just teach a class? I think it was footy actually. I taught like all the boys how to kick a ball properly.
That's so good. That's so good. Yeah, she just got me into it, and like at that time it was just, here's a diva voucher like for coaching, which is awesome. And then I pretty much coached all the way through high school, obviously younger year levels. And
what sport were you in?
God, I personally played like every sport I could ever be able
literally
to play.
Me too. But what were you coaching?
High school, well, I mainly coached netball, a bit of touch footy, and then throughout high school, so year 11 and 12, I played, actually, probably would have started around year 9 that I coached, but from year 8 to year 12, I played water polo.
Oh, how good. Is this because of Nathan?
We got introduced to it. So similar to Nathan, like a lot of those Eastern like Catholic private schools have a pretty strong water polo competition.
I'd never heard of this until I interviewed him.
So it was actually interesting listening to him talk about it. I was like, oh, that's so cool. But yeah, we started that in year 8 and I just flipping loved it. To this day, probably would have to be my absolute favourite sport that I've ever played.
Can we just get over the pool at the aquatic centre and how deep it is?
I know. No,
I think I've spoken about this 4 or 5 times now.
I don't think I could ever swim that far down, honestly. Like, you look at it like, no, it's so deep. But yeah, water polo, I absolutely loved and ended up coaching from about, I reckon, year 9 or 10 through to year 12. So I'd coach, and then play at the same pool. So I always made sure I was at the same pool as the people I was coaching. I was a goalie, which was awesome, and I was shooting goals from goalies. So I was like, how good's this?
Yeah, the girls.
So much fun. And then just coaching now, every now and then I coach the under 16s or 17 girls in SANFLW. I've helped a little bit with juniors when I was in Renmark, Auskick, that sort of thing. So I think, that's sort of what sparked, particularly working with the like 16, 17-year-old girls and just their period of growth and, hormones and all that sort of stuff. But then they're preparing at that age to make it to AFLW. So a lot around their wellbeing and mindset super important.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a pivotal age that they need to learn it.
Yeah.
Especially,
to take through.
I think so, like that's an age where your mental health is quite a big thing as well because there are so many changes happening in your life. Like that part from leaving school to going to, going to wherever you go after, whether that's university. It's a big change in life after you've been studying for 13 years. Yeah. I think, that's such a great age that you've got into there. A niche age, but
it is. It's really important. And I think also even playing like in the senior side, you've still got probably 60% of the team that's under 18. So there's a lot of young girls and it's tough when, people who are a bit older understand, having setbacks and being told that you're not good enough to play this week or whatever. Whereas they're so like, yes, let's go. And haven't really experienced someone saying to them, you need to work harder, you need to put this effort in, you need to do X, Y, Z before we can play you or before you can even think about going to AFLW. Like, I think that's huge for them that could make or break. A 16, 17-year-old girl.
That mental toughness. How do you work on that with
it sounds really it probably sounds really petty, but a lot of it is like self-identity work. And
100%.
Trying to help them separate their athletic identity from their normal identity. And at 16, 17, it's really hard to actually work out who am I. Yeah. But just guiding them through that sort of stuff, what's actually, what are your strengths more so, not so much your values, but what are your strengths as a person and how can you live those strengths just in your everyday life.
I also think it's back to where we spoke about like what makes you happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I think finding that stuff really early, like I think that would have benefited kids, or will benefit kids so much more. Is like if I knew that 10 years ago, like my life would be completely different.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a lot of questioning, and it's a lot of, I don't know, like connection with them. Relationships are so important, and having those connections and trust around them, building that trust with them, you know, because they can be awkward. Like they don't really want to have those negative, awkward conversations with the adults.
Is it hard to get them to open up?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it is. And like recently from the under 17 girls who were doing just their carnival throughout the holidays, and they'd been training for a couple of months, there were some girls who had to be let go, some girls who previously had been playing and training in the reserves, trying to get a league spot. So they're still young, you know, they're in year 12, year 11, some of them, and they're trying to play with senior women in the league, which is just below AFLW. And, you know, some of them are getting told, we're sorry, but, you know, we just haven't seen what we needed to throughout the last 3 games that you played, so we're not asking you to come back. And for them to deal with that is pretty full on.
Yeah, I feel like kids, like teenagers these days, just didn't go through what we did, say, like 10 years ago. Like they have, I don't want to say an easier lifestyle, but I feel like it's so different.
Yeah. I think like a lot of them, and even watching the kids at school, like they just haven't learnt to fail or haven't learnt to have struggle.
Get rejection.
Do you feel like it's the helicopter parents of this age group?
Yeah, and they're very mollycoddled all the time, and it's, you're never in the wrong or you've never made a mistake. It's okay, I'll fix it for you.
Yeah.
Whereas
we got participation awards and I was bloody happy with that.
Yeah, like, I mean, my childhood, my dad was always, you know, if I didn't make a team or if I didn't get the position I wanted or whatever, Dad would always be like, well, all right, sit down, let's think about why you didn't. Like, okay, let's list it out and what can we do? What can we do to work on it and get you back up there? Like, it was never, I'll call them up and tell them off. And, you know, like,
is that where you're, I guess, you got taught that from your dad, the mentality and how to navigate those difficult times. Yeah.
Both both mum and dad. Mum was very good at softball when she was younger, and
what a sport. I played that as a kid.
Softball and like sailing and everything, like competitive sailing. Like both of them were very, not like tough love, but it was very much, well,
realistic.
You need to work. You need to work for that success, and it's not easy. You know, there's not many people that become elite sports people. It's, you know, very thin. So
as we spoke about with Nathan last week.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want to be at that level, you need to know that you will have setbacks. And there'll be times where you don't get chosen, and you need to, you know, have that conversation with the coach or whoever the trainer is and work out why, and then work towards actually getting back to that position.
Yeah,
so important. Yeah. So that's the main age group that you work with.
Yes,
now,
I also will be working with the senior girls too.
Okay.
Which I'm pretty excited for. That's like, I say senior, but again,
what's the age group of that? I was just going to say.
It ranges. So there's, I want to say like between 17 to almost 40.
Yeah.
So there's a couple girls who are, I reckon, mid-30s.
Right.
Now, and still playing very
so
strong
Jenna,
footy.
Next season, should we go?
And playing very strong footy, but there is a big range. The average is probably around that like 21, 22 age group. So
cool.
Yeah.
And what's one of like, if someone was like, for a young female who's wanting to get into sport, what advice would you give to them?
Just go for it.
Yeah.
Like, why not? There's nothing holding you back. Like if you have, you know, if you're actually able to do it and you have the support behind you to do it as well. Like I think accessibility is hard for a lot of people, and particularly if they're young, whether someone can drive them to the events and training and whatnot. But if you have the chance to do it, absolutely do it. It's not so much a do it to become an elite sports person, but do it because you get that
joy.
Yeah, it's fun. You get to build your social skills. You get to also build, you know, your skills around dealing with conflict. Because that's always happening.
The resilience,
like all of that. I think the people that I see, or the students, I should say, that I see who play sport outside of school,
huge difference.
Huge difference, and they're a lot more focused, driven, happy. You know, like, and also understand that it's okay to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. Whereas the kids that don't play sport or don't have, access
sort of group
to that.
to go to, even like that connection part. Yeah.
They tend to really struggle.
Yeah.
And I think like they struggle across all their subjects. They struggle socially, like there's just that connection's not there.
Yeah.
So interesting, right? Because Australia is such a big country for playing sport outside of, like, in and outside of school. How do you think, like, European schools who don't do that as often, or the Americans, kind of like, it's completely different.
It's scary. It's hard because, like, with technology, and again, this could be a whole nother podcast, but with technology nowadays, like, there's just a huge lack of interest in playing sport.
Yeah.
And
I just feel like kids these days will never learn what it's like to fall off your bike or go for a ride or play outside.
Yeah, correct.
Like, they were some of the greatest memories playing outside till the Mozzies came out and the sun went down.
And just like looking at the levels of coordination in some of them, like, I feel for them because it's obvious that it's not happening at home.
Yeah.
And it's also obvious that they don't have access to a sporting team or a club or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after this big footy thing's over, what's next? An Ironman or a bit of a cycling around France?
You know what? I have had in the back of my head, and this is just so crazy.
Go on, we love a good
I've
crazy.
actually had triathlons or like aquathons in the back of my head for a while.
It's so good. Get on it.
I know.
Come and train with me.
The bike freaks me out so much.
That's the easiest part.
No, I remember. I need to tell this story.
You should
This is
join.
so funny.
Like,
Yeah,
you
try
like
Adelaide.
run.
Oh God, I'm like, and
I'll
I love
swim
swimming.
if you ride.
No, absolutely not. I'm swimming.
Hey, I swim 3 times a week now.
I love swimming. Like, that for me is like piece of cake, easy, fun, whatever.
I'm looking for a swimming buddy. You free Monday and Friday mornings.
I will swim with
Next
you. I
gen,
will
see you
swim.
there.
Sure, done. Yeah, I love swimming. Running, you know what?
I hate it.
I don't love running at all.
No, look-
but if I have a purpose for it, then fine.
I
I'll
love
do it.
running. I just get migraines when I do it. So I don't do it.
it's a bit boring, really.
Yeah.
Hey, that's why we made our podcast, okay?
Yeah.
Go and listen.
I think I just get in my own head too much.
Yes.
And I'm like,
You've got to
"Ugh."
be in that right frame of life. If you're going for a long run, like longer than, I think, 5 kilometres,
Yeah,
it's
great.
okay.
Yeah.
It's over in half an
Reaching
hour.
towards 10, I'm like, nah, I'm done now.
last
Check out
time-
at 5, check
Trying
out
to
at
think
7,
of something
maybe.
else.
The
to,
last
like-
time I did a 10K run, it was in a Santa suit around a lake in England, and I'm glad that was my last 10K.
That sounds horrible.
In a Santa suit, though. It was kind of...
Santa suit. But yeah, that's sort of, I don't know, that's been on mine. But yeah, the bike scares me so much. I during that like mini lockdown.
As in the clip-in part or just the whole...
just no, can't do it. During that mini lockdown or whatever, I came back from Renmark and
Did you get a trainer?
no, Dad, because obviously Dad's like avid bike rider.
Yeah.
He bought us a bike years and years ago, hoping that we would ride with him and do triathlons, and none of us did it. And I was like, you know what, I'll just jump on it. It was a little bit small for me, but that's fine. He went and bought me the cleats. He went and bought me a full like lycra outfit, new helmet, everything. I'm like, all right, I'm so invested in this. Let's go. Oh no! The amount I fell off and couldn't clip out, and I got to
Tipped
the
over.
point, and I never called my dad daddy. But I got to the point where we were in the back street of our like house, and literally I stopped. I'm like, I can't. And Dad's like, just unclip Sport. He calls me Sport. Just unclip. I'm like, I can't. I'm like, Daddy, and I'm just falling, grazed my knee, grazed my elbow, and I'm sitting in the gutter like, I can't do it.
Oh my God, that's so funny. That brings back memories. So I used to live at Norwood when I was renting with friends years ago. Anyway, would ride Portrush Road and all the back of it. Bloody loved it. Like, I don't know why I was doing it, but the adrenaline rush, amazing. But I would ride
All
next to
those
the...
semis.
Yeah, I would be fine, right? I wouldn't ride at
gosh.
peak hour, but anyway, I'd ride. Anyway, go back Green Hill Road, everything, come back McGill Road. But, you know, I screwed up the driveway because I
of course.
overthought which foot to come out and I'd stack it on the driveway.
always like the
I
most
take the
simple
Instagram
part.
photo and I'm like, I broke it behind the photo.
It's always, you overthink it is the most simple thing you overthink. But in saying that, now that I'm reflecting, resilience.
Yeah.
I should just get back on and have another go.
Kids these days,
Yeah.
get on a bike.
Either that or weird, but dancing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've always been really like, when I was little, I loved hip hop.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking of doing some adult classes.
Yeah.
Just something
That'd be
different.
fun.
Why
So you're
not?
going to swim with me on a Monday,
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah.
When are we going to... You're going to run with Jenna on it. And then we're just going to get some cycles in.
Yeah, perfect. Cycles and then a bit of hip hop on the weekend.
Okay, sounds good. You're talking about your sleep before and the importance of that on your daily life and your performance. as in playing footy. What do you about your rehab and recovery? How important is that to you? And give us some tips.
Yep, huge. In that first season at Westies, my recovery, I didn't actually drink really at all during that season, which was great, and I felt amazing. I'm not a huge drinker anyway, but I am like a social drinker. Yeah. So if there's a party, I'll have a few. That year, I had like no real form of recovery. It'd just be like the day after with the girls at the beach, but I found that didn't really do a lot.
Yep.
And then this season that's just been, I got very, very heavily into recovering at Peak Conditioning Gym, which I freaking love, and they are absolute
I've seen
absolute
you with
legends.
the boots and
they are so good. They're like their knowledge about recovery and just in general sport and all that stuff is just amazing. So they do contrast baths there, which their recovery team like talk you through if you need any advice on it and that sort of thing. And I worked my way up throughout the season, doing just like 1 minute splits in each to doing 4 minutes in the cold, 2 minutes in the warm, and then rotating that 4 times, which for me at the start, I was like, I would never be able to do that. And just felt amazing after those saunas. Yep. So I probably do...
Which kind of sauna, I have to ask?
It's an infrared.
Okay.
Yeah, infrared. I love it.
Yeah.
It just relaxes me so much.
I prefer the other one. I'm like the Finnish sauna, like this proper get it hot.
Yeah.
I just find that build up. I just find you get a lot warmer quicker in those. Yeah. And like 10 minutes in that is equivalent to maybe sitting in an infrared for about 40 minutes.
Yeah. So I reckon I'd do in season and even pre-season would be doing the contrast maybe like 3-4 times a week. Definitely be doing it on a Sunday after a game.
Yep.
Saunas would be maybe 2-3 nights a week if I'm lucky to. And then Normatex I would be doing, if I can get there, doing it after my contrast, like day after trainings. Yep. And then also on a Sunday. So Sundays are usually contrast, Normatex, and then obviously sleep, nutrition, that sort of thing. And I ended up getting or working with Belle, who works out of there, on my nutrition, which I'd never really been involved with or thought about. And holy heck, like food makes such a difference.
Are you eating more after seeing?
Yeah, like I was astounded at the amount I had to eat.
Yeah. I think we had a chat maybe last year and you were saying, I don't think I'm eating enough. And
I did. Yeah. And like, because my energy leading into training was just like, oh God, I can't do this. And then afterwards I'd struggle and then get to game day and it would be like, I felt like I got through games fine. Yep. But then I would just crash. Yeah. Like, oh my God, my body's not coping. And that first year I was getting soft tissue injuries all the time. Right. All the time. I also had 2 concussions. That's different. That's a like impact. But you know, I had like hip flexor issues, shin splints, what's it on your heel?
Plantar fasciitis.
Yeah, literally everything. And then this season have not experienced a single injury, which has been freaking awesome.
Just by doing that recovery and performance. I asked you that because I saw it on your Instagram and I was reading about it. So interesting.
Yeah, so good. And like that nutrition I think played a big difference in my energy levels, but also my recovery straight after games, like actually eating properly and having that protein and those carbs and continuing to fuel up until bedtime. Yep. Oh my God. Like so good. Anyone who doesn't know how to fuel themselves properly, particularly if they are an elite athlete, I highly recommend seeing a sports nutritionist or dietitian. Yep. Because like insane.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So every time we have a guest on, we like to finish off with 5 fast questions. So quickly to remind you, it's questions are number 1 to 20. First thing that comes to your mind, you have to spit it out. No thoughts. Yeah. All right. What's our first number?
I'll go with my footy numbers. So yeah, we'll go 11.
Okay, number 11. As a kid, what job did you want?
PE teacher, funnily enough.
Everybody has asked for number 11.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Okay, next one.
16.
All right. Number 16 is if you won a lottery, what's 3 things you would spend it on?
Probably investment properties.
Yep.
Like, because if you need more money.
I'll design them for you. That's my job.
Right, investment properties. A house for my mum and then a house for my dad.
Oh, cute.
That'd be one thing.
Yeah.
And probably a massive holiday with like family and friends.
Love it. Yep. Next question.
Next one. We'll go 9.
Number 9, what's your spirit animal?
Oh my God. I would have said like a tiger.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Yeah, probably a tiger or a fox if I could choose.
Love that. Okay, next one.
Oh my God, I'm so bad at this.
Everybody's the same.
Sorry.
I edit so much of this part.
Okay, we'll go 7.
Okay, number 7, what's your coffee order?
Oh, an iced oat latte.
Nice.
Nice.
You saw the options
Oat
of milk in that fridge.
I'm proud of my milk.
I called her a cow before because of how many different types of milks are in her fridge.
It's just cow's milk, so it's like a variety. I was like, look at all my milk.
There's literally one of every kind.
3.
Okay, it is, if you could go back to a month in your life, when, why?
Oh, crap. Oh, no,
First thing that comes to your mind.
Okay, I would have said my my debut month. Yep.
Love
sure.
that.
Yeah.
And is there one more? I've lost count.
I think it was 5. Yeah.
Okay.
Amazing.
Very end.
This is
Oh,
what
no.
she counts for me and I ask the question.
I think that was fine. I was counting on my hand. So.
Good, because I never count. I counted to 3 and then I was like too busy asking the questions. Well, thank you so much for coming on today.
It's been
Thank
good.
you. I really enjoyed it.
I'm so glad that we had a bit of a rant about women's sport. I've been holding that in since the World Cup and waiting for the right guest to come on.
We covered so much there, like sleep and recovery.
Yeah, that
and
was
then,
really cool.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, no, thank you. I really appreciate it. It's nice to
Oh, good.
talk
Now
to other people about it too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we got a swimming buddy and you have to come on and talk about more
no,
women's sport.
I'm down for swimming. I'm not sure about the running. But maybe.
So half Ironman next December, we're going to Perth.
Yeah, great. Perfect. Done. Sold.
Nathan's agreed, so
Awesome.
to
He
put
can
the
train
next
us
one on
all.
board.
He can
Hang
train
on,
us all.
Nathan's question quickly,
Oh,
so
yeah.
just to make him happy.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So we're going to bring in a thing where the last guest has to ask the next guest a question.
Oh,
Since
okay.
Nathan knows who you are, he wants to know why your dad drinks so much wine and has so much cheese.
I think he doesn't know how to cook for himself very well. Honestly, I think
Staple
since
in
all of
his
us
diet.
girls
Honestly, it's not a fruit bowl.
since all of us girls have left the house, I think he's a little bit lost on food. So it's always his like sausage he makes and cheese. Sorry, I'm probably like rambling now, but there was a picture he put up on Facebook and was like, great dinner, and it was literally like 4 olives, a bit of his sausage.
Isn't
and
it a
some
girl
cheese.
dinner?
I was like, excuse me, and my sister's like, are you actually okay? Do we need to come and cook for you?
Oh.
So, yeah, I
Is
don't
that
know.
a fueling before he goes for a bike ride with
Yeah,
Nathan?
absolutely. No, it's probably his era of like, I'm not really training that much, so I can't eat that much. I'll just have some scraps.
Love that. Well, thanks for your time, and
Thank you.
soon we'll have you back once or another. Maybe when's the AFLW season start?
It's midway through. I think we're actually close to the end.
Oh yeah,
already.
yeah. Maybe we'll come back after the grand final and we'll discuss
Yeah,
the
cool.
season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome.
I like that.
Recap.
Cool.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So it's time for.
PW and PB.
Do you want to give us your PW of the week?
PW of the week is the migraine.
Oh,
My migraine vision problem. So, like I said, like it's not that much pain in my head, but it's a visual disturbance, which is just an annoyance and
So
concerning.
any optometrists or doctors around here, give us some tips.
Yeah, because my doctor doesn't know. So, what about you? What's your PW?
Oh, I had such bad fatigue this week,
Yeah,
and I didn't realize what it was until it was like 3 days later. But
yeah.
you know what? When you feel
What was
like
it?
my period.
Ah, yes.
But it
Always
was
fun.
like mentally, I just wanted to keep going, but my body was like, "Nah, mate, you need to stop."
I need to have a rest. Yeah,
Yeah, it was like I felt like I wanted to jump off a bridge, but my body wouldn't follow.
yeah. It's shit time we have as women around that
No,
time of the month.
it's never often that bad, but the last couple, hit me hard.
This one looked good. Yeah,
I think it's just, again, like we've been speaking about in the last couple of weeks, how burnt out we are. And I think that's just on top of everything else,
yeah.
smacking us in the back of the head.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned to you doing this female nutrition course.
Yeah, I'm excited
And
to hear what you learn about that kind of
so
stuff.
speaking with Amy, who's the nutritionist dietitian running the session. So she explains that it's what you do 3 months before.
Mate, I can't remember what I did yesterday.
Yeah. So that's so hard. So if you start implementing changes now, you won't see the effects until 3 months.
That's so interesting. I've actually never heard of that before.
Yeah. And you start thinking, what have I done? But it's like, well, it's what you've done before that has the impact on your cycle and symptoms.
Crazy.
Yeah.
The downfalls of being a female. And can we spark it up with a good PB?
A PB. So my PB of the week is my dog, even though he's probably the PB of my week every week.
Of your life.
He's PB of my life. But I think the weather's warmed up, and so we've been out running together, and we've been going in the pool, and I've been laying by the pool, and it's just like the connection and bond you have. There's something really special about that with your dog.
I think because they can't talk back.
They can't talk back, but they just like, they don't care what you've got going on.
They know.
Care.
They know when something's up, and they're there by your side.
Yeah.
Unlike other people.
Yeah. And they would just, if you do something wrong, they forgive you.
Yeah. Love that. As long as you feed them dinner.
Love dogs. Yeah. What about you? What's your PB for the week?
Oh, because I was so fatigued start of the week, I think last night I took myself off to the sauna and the ice bath. And it's not very often I do that midweek, but I swam very well this morning because of it.
Because you had some nice relax and unwind time.
Yeah. It was nice to loosen up the muscles and made a Friday much better.
I think I need to do that.
Well, I'm going to take you.
So. Yeah, let's do it. Let's lock that in. I think I need to
loosen up.
Just chill and, you know.
I love going in there, like putting a podcast on and having time to myself.
Yeah, it's like the simple things. Like really, sometimes when I've got heaps going on, especially this time of year, sort of
like we
hustling
said before,
to get all the things done so we can relax. But I'm just trying to like strip it back to like simplicity.
Yeah, I think that I always make that like my hour of time where like my phone is outside of the sauna. So I just put my podcast, I set them for about an hour's worth. I don't look at it. Yeah. And it's like my time to unconnect from the world and
without someone like notifications and someone wants this and someone wants that and this, that, and all this thing. It's like, my God.
It's just nice to, and then you always sleep really well after that too, which is nice.
Yeah, nice. Cool.
Yeah.
It's time for recommendations.
Good, after a big chat.
I'm like, fried.
And fried on a Friday night.
Yep, actual.
What's your rec of the week?
My recommendation of the week is Woolworths, or it could be Coles.
Yep.
Whatever supermarket, click and collect.
Oh.
So I've done it for a while, but I don't go grocery shopping because it's such a time waster. I find
I'm the opposite. I actually like going.
Like on the app, I can just search what I want and then select a pickup time, whatever it is, and find it super easy to manage. Don't have to wander around aisles. So that's my recommendation for the week.
Nice one.
Scraping the barrel. What about you?
Mine is I've been watching so much soccer this week. So if you're not watching the Soccer English Premier League on Optus Sport, women's only, screw the men.
Sport.
Yep. It is the Best Friend Therapy podcast with Elizabeth Day and her friend Emma.
Nice.
I think Emma is a psychologist, and then they just have best friend chats, but they also go into the deep psychology side. So really rate that at the moment.
Cool.
All right. Have a good rest of your day. Enjoy your week and see you next Wednesday. Bye.